What up, YouTube? It's me, Kaiser. Um, as I went to the sneak peek for Order of Chaos today, and figured to show up, show off a couple decks, and test them out and see, against actual competitive players, not just the gang at school, against actual competitive decks, how I stand and where I am. And I saw one thing that was extremely, meta. Those bloody six Sams. Against Six Sams, I realized a lot of misplaying happened. He synchroed into Xian and special summoned Xian, and a lot of stuff happened, and Grandmaster plays went down, and, there was just a lot of misplaying between Lad and Quacky Drago. So we're not going to count the majority of those duels that I had lost, because I did lose quite a bit there. But I definitely learned a lot about how to run Disaster, so I figured since I learned a lot about my own deck, I debut it here on my channel. So we're going to start off with 1, 2, 3 Lads. It's Lad Disaster, so yeah. And of course, playing 3 Lads, you want 1, 2, 3 Totem. Counts as 2 GPs for Dragon, specials himself during standby. If I have no monsters, opponent does. The banish issue isn't too much of a problem since I run, I'll go ahead and say, Burial. 3 D-Metals. Like I said, it's Disaster. I'm going to swarm out my... I'll either swarm my dragons or play extremely conservatively and just protect myself. I'll play probably D-Metal and Prime or something and protect myself, or sink into Stardust and just keep Stardust alive with D-Metal. That usually works out. I run only 2 Wyverns, just because I've found myself not actually having D-Metal in the grave too often. If I lose the duel, it's because I didn't get to play D-Metal at all. That's the common, issue. That's what that is. So only 2 Wyverns. He's still pretty handy. 3 Mass Dragon, staple in most any dragon deck. Just Meat Shield, helps me search into Totem and some other things. I run 3 Quacky Dragos. This shuts down some of the most awesome things in the meta nowadays. Chaos builds. Next month, the Chaos Dragons. Yeah, Drago's going to shut those guys down like a boss. Light Sworns can't really do much. And like I said, without Xian, either the Shogun or the Legendary 6M, either way, Xian just doesn't happen with Drago on the field. And without Xian, they can just go away. And as long as I can keep them from swarming, like Kaigeki, he's the issue. If I can stop Kaigeki from going off, then I'm set. And, Wyvern, of course, outpowers Kaigeki, even with his effect. 2 Delta Flyers. Mass Dragon goes into him. I get Delta Flyer, and plus, with Mass Dragon, if I draw Delta Flyer while I have a Mass on the field, I can, of course, I overlay into 3. I can sink into 6, sink into 7, because Delta boosts level by 1. Or play with any of my level 4s and sink into 8. So, very versatile. Hopes my extra deck happen. He's like the best dragon tuner ever. I run 1 Prime. It's all I need, really. With all the speed of this deck, I go through it pretty quickly. I usually pull Prime right in time. Hey, that rhymed. Exploder Dragon. Because my Al-Qaeda Bomber Dragon just... if I'm ever fighting another 5-headed dragon, a mirror deck, that usually gets annoying, so Exploder stops that. Most things that top 3k I can't touch, so he stops that. Gandora. I actually side out him for Yamada also, for draw power, but Gandora's pretty good, if I can pull Totem and then sack it for him. Pretty much banish nuke and smack for a bit of damage. The damage doesn't matter, it's really he's just the nuke. That nuke effect comes in handy on occasion. I don't mind taking a little damage on the following turn if I can recover. But, my opponent getting his ace cards out on the field, I need to get rid of that stuff. I run amount of spells. 1 D-Mirror, it's a dragon deck. Derp. Burial, because some banishing does happen. I'm liable to experiment with some Chaos Dragon builds next month when that structure deck comes out, so of course Burial comes in handy. Also get to reuse my Wyverns and Totems. 2 Misty. I side a 3rd one just in case I duel against someone who's back row heavy, but this works. monster, staple. 3 dualities to set up. You know, I can go into what I need to go into quick. The special summoning issue, that doesn't bother me too much since the deck mostly normal summons, surprisingly, or can mostly normal summon. I don't need to special. A staple heavy, staple dark hole, and staple future fusion. About the dark hole, auto killing, you know, with card effects, that's kind of been my thing. I love to do that because direct attacking is the best way to attack, in my opinion. So, of course, dark hole's there. It's just typical staple. Heavy storm, just because back row annoys the heck out of me. I got plenty of back row protection. It's usually monsters that get me, which, you know, with Lad and Drago on the field, I stop most of the good monsters, I'll say. And future isn't even to get 5-headed out. It's mostly to dump from my deck to the grave so I can start going off of my plays like Totem Dragon and Wyvern and all that good stuff. Next, the traps. 2 Call of the Haunted. So that way I special more. It's to help the specialing happen, and that way I don't have to waste D-Metal's effect getting something when I can call it. Or I can just call the Haunted D-Metal and not waste my Wyvern. 2 Solemn Warnings and Solemn Judgment. I mean, if you can afford them, Warnings and Judgment are pretty much staple. Everyone runs them. It's what happens. I mean, yeah, the life point cost is a bitch, but, you know, you get through it. And I run 2 Bottomlesses. This is pretty, you know, simple trap setup. You know, it's pretty much typical of most decks nowadays. I mean, I don't run Deep Prison. I actually side Deep Prison, Mirror Force. So, that's what that is. And, mainly, I could go for a bit on my extra deck, but, you know, the way I see it, why not? So in my extra deck, we got Iron Chain Dragon, Stardust Dragon, 5-headed Dragon. Who do I have on hand at the moment? I don't quite have the rest of my extra deck on me, but the rest is Red Dragon Archfiend, 2 number 17 Leviathan Dragons, and I go into Trident Dragon, and that's all the important stuff, really. I mean, mostly it's just 5-headed to dump with Future, and then Stardust Dragon. Iron Chain sometimes gets my opponent too, but that's about it for Disaster. It's a pretty sweet deck. If you need an explanation on it, check the next video. I'll, you know, just show you how to play.